Welcome to another RES Wave update. So in this video, we're going to basically talk about how the Dow Jones relates to cryptos and give you my latest interpretation of what I think the Dow Jones is. Now, this has changed quite a bit since my previous long-term Dow Jones analysis videos. And what I've done here is basically taken everything into consideration from previous ideas that I've posted, taking into consideration many different things, such as, you know, we're in a bull market long term, and this can be, partly due to money printing. It could be partly, money supply, um, inflation, all these different things, right? But those are sort of like underlying sort of ideas that I'm have taken seriously into consideration in order to eventually lead to what I suppose is this video. And I thought it would be the right time now to sort of, bring it up now that I've gone over some cryptos and I've started to sort of get a picture of as to what I believe is going on. Um, and it's quite interesting how it's sort of all coming together now. And I'll explain to you what I mean by that once we get to the top of this chart. Okay. So the Great Depression. So right before the Great Depression, I believe we ended a wave one from the previous several hundred years of the stock markets. There's a long-term market that joins European markets onto the US market. So even before America, you could see that there was this, pretty big move up. And then basically we have had a Great Depression, and the correction started here. Wave A ended in 1932. So using RES Wave, I went over all the waves again and again using previously suggested ideas that I had come up and taken notes. And I thought I'd bring them all back and see how this fits into this bigger picture. So wave B ended up here in basically 62, and we had this move down in wave C. And I think that's significant. This B wave was, indication that we're having an expanded correction, and there's strength behind this move, right? And then we move up here and we had this D wave, right? And the E wave was the 1987 crash. If we're to go by this particular view and perspective, um, to me this seems to fit fairly well. And after this point in time is where we head into wave three. And since then, I believe we're creating. Sorry, I just want to swap these around. I put them in the wrong place. Right. So the 90s was wave one of this wave three. Wave two ended in 2009. So the way that I am seeing this correction now is basically we had the 3-3-5 in that area, and then the 3-5. So the A, B, C, D, E. So the D was the bubble, and the E was the basically the correction of that bubble, and also the end of wave two. Okay, so you can see that there is a zigzag in there, and this move up there can only be a zigzag according to RS wave. And then you had that sharp move, which was larger than any other wave in the beginning. So to me, this is a 3-3-5 all in one sort of pattern. And then you had your expanded zigzag pattern, and yeah, just a 5-wave move for wave E, and it was pretty severe. And the reason I'm explaining this to you is because I've changed the count of the move up since 2009 to be a normal 5-wave move, which ended in 2000 and basically 17, 18 in this case. I do believe that it just went that little bit longer than Bitcoin did before it sort of started correcting the way it did. But at the same time, the correction has is a bit different. But the one important thing that I have to basically highlight here is that we had a 5-wave move up to that point. Okay, and then after that, we've had an A, B, C, and if I'm going to stick to the idea that this is a D wave, which I do still have the upside target of 37,000. I did get us in recently at around, low 30,000, 31 or something, can't remember. And I did say we have a target of 37,000, right? So the main theme that I'm seeing here, um, if I'm just to sort of bring this down to the daily for a moment, okay? Now, the A wave was small, the B wave was a bit bigger, the C wave was bigger than that, and now the D wave is even bigger. So this is like, to me, this is like an expanding correction. So it's still expanding. The D wave will expand similar to how the D wave expanded right before the GFC, right? So for whatever reason, I'm not going to get into the reasoning behind what caused this bubble, but I'm pretty sure you're aware. And then we had to correct that before the actual trend could continue. So, according to RS Wave, there's always these patterns in a correction. The problem is if you can't identify them properly, or if you have faulty analysis, it's because you used the waves improperly. And this is why I've had to really go back and understand what is going on. Crypto, why is crypto so bullish? Markets move with crypto, and then I change my view on the euro and the US dollar. But there's a but. This is not over yet, okay? So even though I've changed it to a bullish view, we still need to see the end of this correction. Okay, so to me, this is like right before the GFC wave, expanded zigzag, and we're going to see an E wave, which will probably most likely come back down to the low point area of the previous wave 4. Okay, now in 2020, we did see a move down that went to around the top of, this sort of like, wave, the top of wave 3, basically. But we haven't seen anything come back to the bottom of, or the low point of the wave 4 area. So I would say that we most likely will get a 50%, roughly 50% correction if we're going to use the 37 target and bring it down to that area. You're looking at a 58, roughly 60% pullback. Right now, you might think that that's a bit severe, but you have to understand that it's only coming back to the previous 4th wave. Okay, it's not like I'm saying this thing is going to collapse and all this sort of stuff, right? I mean, you saw how this is similar to what happened in the GFC. We corrected, around 50%, give or take. But then obviously the whole thing continued upwards. Now, if we're in a wave 3 long term, then what comes after this move to the downside is going to be a third of a third of a third wave, right? So you could just imagine the kind of movement that we will likely see in the future if this wave count is correct. Now, I'm giving you the most bullish wave count possible that I can possibly give, but I also want to keep it real, right? I have said a lot of things to the moon, but then I've pulled back a bit, and I've talked about, is this a wave 4 for cryptos? Is this and that? And I've been thinking about that. And this is why I decided to go into the Dow Jones video, is because I'm starting to see something now. Okay, if you look at Bitcoin, okay, we're in a B wave. According to my analysis, we're in a B wave. All right. Now, the B wave in the Dow Jones was small. So, uh, if you know what I'm trying to say, like, not every market can correct or perform the same waves in the same manner. They don't always do that, right? In cryptos and Dow Jones are obviously different markets, but there's a general overall bullish theme going on, and this is important when it comes to altcoins and how they are interacting. And I'm starting to see things in those markets, right? So what I'm starting to realize is that a lot of altcoins, I see chart data from about 2017 onwards, right? And we see like what appears to be uh, like some coins seem to be following Bitcoin's price action, and some appear to be following very similar to what I'm seeing in the Dow Jones. And this is starting to really make me think now, right? Now, I'm going to propose something here that I've been thinking about, and I'm going to show you how I've changed the waves on XRP, for example. And I'm really just I'm still working on this, but to me, it's just wow. It's something's sort of starting to click a little bit, and I'm just thinking, I'm going to put it out there because this is evolving stuff. This stuff is evolving, okay, and I'm going to touch more on this stuff more moving forward. So let's just go to the daily for a moment. Now, we did discuss this 5-wave move in the previous video, but I want to propose something a bit interesting here, right? So in this count, we have wave 1 that ended around here. Okay, we have an A wave down here. So this move here, I looked in really close, and all I could see was basically a zigzag. So I'm thinking, okay, well, that's interesting. An A wave followed by a B wave, right? And then a C wave down. So this is like a weak C wave that is like, it's like an ending diagonal, and ending diagonals can happen in wave C when it comes to RS wave. So it's very interesting to take this view, and then you look at what's happening here. And I did suggest once upon a time that this was a 5-wave move, and I'm starting to think that perhaps it still is, and it's part of a D wave. Right now, you can see what I mean by the D wave thing. It's a theme that seems to be happening in some coins, I believe, right? And then in other coins, we're in a B wave of what appears to be like a B wave, such as like maybe like Cardano, and I think now also um, XLM. So I think we've got to be really careful in just thinking that all these markets are moving in the same way, because I don't think they are, and I don't know the reason behind that, but I'm just starting to see these things, and I'm just going to start continuing to evolve the analysis, and I'm going to come up with these, what's it following the most scenarios, and then see what people think. Okay. So in this particular case, this would be following the D wave, and let's just go a little bit closer in here. And this is very interesting actually, because this move down here was puzzling me for a while, and then I started to sort of think about it in this way, and then I thought, okay, so what's this? Is this a zigzag followed by a B, C, D, E, right? And I'm like, that's actually, it looks very interesting, right? Because that A, B, C, D, E is a full correction for a move. So if this was a wave 5, wave 4 in here, if like this was like 1, 2, 3, 4, then you wouldn't just have one zigzag, right? Here I can see just one zigzag, which I'm thinking it's B wave. And then the C wave was a 5-wave move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I look at the next thing, it's a zigzag, it's a D wave there. And then I see this E wave, and I'm thinking, okay, well, that means that we can sort of measure where this is going to terminate now, roughly, right? And it fits in with the idea that, on the TRX against XRP chart as well, and why that's about to bottom, and we're going to see a move up in TRX. And I'm looking at these two coins, putting this picture together. It's really interesting. All right. So back to the daily for a second. To measure that move, I've already done it here. So measuring the A wave is the yellow lines, and then measuring the same distance is the green lines, and that's to around 1.68 roughly. All right, so if that's a D wave, then this thing will terminate roughly around that area, and then we're going to see a move down for E wave, which is what I'm thinking is also going to happen in the Dow Jones. So we're going to see a move that goes, yes, below March low, and for some reason, and okay, so how do I view this on this chart? All right, because I look at charts individually. I just look at themes of waves. I don't look at exact, because it's not the exact pattern. All right. So whenever you get an expanded correction, typically, if it's not, uh, I have two different types of expanded corrections, right? One of them is the normal one where it comes back to the around the end of wave one. Okay, so you'd get something like this to the end of to the end of wave one, and then you'd get your move up like parabolic because it's the end of a correction. So because we're in that stage that is in between a wave one and a two, this actually makes a lot of sense because we're seeing that, okay, 2017 was still the end of that first wave in the Dow Jones, and now we're sort of transitioning into wave three, but in a crypto with its own chart and its own waves. So that's interesting, and yeah, so I'll just go to TRX again because I know I'm going over these a lot, but I'm just trying to illustrate. Hang on, not that one. Yeah. Okay, so how does TRX fit into it? And I'm thinking, okay, well, I can see that this particular data started in around 2018, and in my honest opinion, I would say that this is actually producing the B wave scenario. Um, if not the D wave scenario, whatever it is, I can't be 100% sure. Is it following the Bitcoin B wave, or is it actually just following um, the Dow Jones D wave, right? But because of where it started, I'd be probably thinking it's going to be a zigzag, right? I'm not too sure. Potentially the Dow Jones, I don't know. To me, it's a bit strange. It's almost like it could be just a 1-2 scenario, right? It could just be a 1-2 scenario like the Dow Jones. So we have the one, and then we have the correction still well, the correction finished on this one. But at the same time, I'm expecting this to keep going higher. So it would be like creating a zigzag. So to me, this is a bit of a strange one. But because I see a complete correction, I see another 5 waves starting to move up. And this is obviously looking a lot choppier than the first wave. It's looking like it'll be a zigzag, unless for some reason it's not and it just keeps going. But why would a wave three start in this choppy manner and there's a large move down coming in general? Well, I believe then it must be a zigzag forming that perhaps is following Bitcoin, right? Just looking at the timing of it. But yeah, look, this one's weird, but it's still trackable and I can still sort of see the waves that are going on. So I would say that this is going to be a zigzag, and the target is like $1.42 if you measure from the E wave the same distance as the first wave, from E wave to about $1.50 roughly, give or take. So yeah, that one is that one, and then you've got, quickly I'll go to Cardano, where you've got the first wave up, and then it looks like you got an A B pattern. So it's sort of like a a zigzag again, but you can't just say, oh, it's following the Dow Jones or it's following Bitcoin, but it's definitely creating a pattern that is probably likely going to retrace, and it doesn't have to be following one chart or the other, right? It could be it's just its own chart. but it's still going to do similar things that the overall market's doing. Okay, so I'm running out of time here, but I will continue to bring more updates like these. I want to hear what people think, and hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you for watching.